All right, my fellow agents, welcome back. It's the start of a new week. It's Monday, and that means we have three more episodes of the Savage Dragon cartoon series. And this is episode 7 through 9. It is also a very special episode, the third anniversary. 3 years ago today, I started this doing my podcast. I would like to thank Lilith for inspiring me and everyone else who's been with us along the journey. We have 802 subscribers right now. I do know most of you are there for the squirrels, but that's all right. The squirrels and the cats. But if you're here for the longer content, then thank you for that as well. So if you could please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment about uh, this very cartoon, or if you want to, leave me a comment about the third anniversary. We're actually the start of the fourth year today. And I'm very happy about that, considering I wanted to do it for 10 years before I started actually recording. So thank you all once again. And are you ready? Let's roll. So we're here on episode 7. I don't know why I keep wanting to start at episode 9. And this is called Hurt. And this was originally aired December 13th, 1995. Interestingly enough, the She Dragon episode was aired on December 20th. They got these, they're kind of out of order. Probably going to skip the rest of the air dates because that's just the vagaries of cable television, right? So this is called Hurt, and you can figure out somebody's probably going to get hurt. That is Bludgeon, who is like the strongest of strong super freaks, I guess. He's also a little headstrong, and that is Low Blow. Yes, Low Blow, and that's his partner there. So that's the big and tall. Lobo is like, I don't know, 4 feet, even shorter than Wolverine, which he subtly looks like. They're robbing banks and such. Dragon and Alex show up. Yeah, I gave their name. I decided when I hear their names, I'll just put them in there so I won't forget. He's funny. Loblo's funny. I mean, he knows his karate or some sort of martial art and takes on Alex and gets away from her. And then Bludgeon surprises Dragon because he's so much stronger. And Dragon's dumb. He tries to fight strength against strength instead of using his brain, turning the Bludgeon's. Well, I get ahead of myself. So then Alex meets this dope, a paramedic, and I don't remember what his name is off the top of my head or care, but he likes her, and there's a spark there. So he's nice. And once again, Bludgeon, and they're just out robbing banks for the Overlord. This guy's trapped. See, Alex tricks Low Blow into running into a pole and knocking himself out. She's a little proud of herself for that. And Alex goes to rescue the old man. They land on top of Low Blow. And Alex is hurt. And this guy yells at Dragon for being the cause of it. And Dragon takes him seriously. She's in the hospital. And so he's still yelling at Dragon, who feels bad because his partner got hurt. And even though they're officers of the law, duly deputized officers of the law, and it's part of the job. But if there weren't super freaks, she still could have helped that guy and still fallen. So he's determined to get hold of him and races around town over and over. And finally, Frank has to give him a talking to. Overlord has to give Bludgeon a talking to because he's out to get revenge because Low Blow's in prison. And the dope here gets Alex, and she wants to know where Dragon is, and he's like giving her space, and he feels bad. but they're not talking. And she's not mad at him because she knows it's part of the job. But off he goes. And Bludgeon is tricking him because he's out to hurt, actually kill Alex. So the show's got some adult content. I think we found that out last week as well. But they ramp it up a little bit here, and he's going after Alex. And she actually says this, which in 1995 was still very much a thing, thanks to what's his guts, Arsenio Hall, using it all, saying it all the time. I mean, oversaying it, but it's actually a registered trademark for whatever company that is, Metal Art. So I hope that little granny got all the money she needed. And so finally they have a talking, and he saves her, gives her to the guy, and says, "Get her out of here," and goes after Bludgeon. I wonder if he's going to be in the Pain Cave. Extra points to anybody who knows what that reference is from, where they bludgeon you. Bludgeon drops a sign on him, a really heavy-duty billboard. I didn't know they were made out of steel. Maybe in Chicago. Now Overlord's annoyed because Bludgeon is now a disappointment. And I'll tell you what, Overlord is not an excitable bad guy. When he says something in that measured tone, that tells me you're in more trouble than you care to think about. But they've rescued Low Blow. And look, he's bruised up and battered. I mean, you don't see that much in other shows, but I like the fact that they did that. I don't know who did the, let's see, production companies were Lacewood, Universal, P3 Entertainment. I don't know if it says who did the animation, co-produced. Let me scroll back down a little bit further. Oh man, yeah, not seeing it, but it's obviously probably from somewhere overseas, which most animation's done these days. Finally, the dragon comes in like a wrecking ball. Okay, that's current-ish, and wipes him out. And Alex has had enough of this bigoted dope because she counts the number of times he said freak in like 30 seconds. She's like, nope, not doing it. I have a partner. And that's it. And I don't know if we see him again because, again, these are all new episodes to me. So Webb. Now, you can probably guess who this is about. And Dragon's chasing two miscreants. That would be Doubleheader and Basher. So now I know that guy's Basher. Doubleheader was pretty easy to figure out. Gets his bike wiped out, having pizza. So they've been captured in the South, somewhere deep in the South, probably in Georgia. Seems like we have a failure to communicate here. Dragon gets grease all over it, gets arrested for speeding. Says, "Boy, you better shut your mouth. You can't afford the bail." Sorry, that's a Lords of the New Church song reference. So they arrest him. And they tase him too because they think he's impersonating an officer, and then they throw him in there with Doubleheader and Basher. So they have a frank exchange of ideas and then Dragon gets released, and you can even see in the background they're in the South. It's subtle, and that guy's name is Cobb, I believe. Maybe he's related to the Big Boss Man, or as I knew him, Big Bubba Rogers. Corny still calls him Bubba. The late Big Bubba Rogers. And so they have to go, something else is in here, and they go down into the sewers because there's a hole. See that hole? Something has taken Basher and Doubleheader that climbs and is heavy and big, and then it's in the cornfield. So the good old boys here. I mean, I think that Cobb is supposed to be a person of color, although it's hard to tell. Basher shows up and Dragon says, "Just get out of here. You're in trouble." And then it's Arachnid. Arachnid? I think it's Arachnid. Who is the other one? Leech covered. I'm trying to see. I mean, he's in one other one. So this is the second one. And Basher tells him, they find goo and everything, and they grab all the men. So Basher tells him what happened, that Arachnid was eating the tellers, and then he tried to eat double header, no, not double header, split face, who is Overlord's best scientist, and they gas him, and they're taking him out to dump him somewhere. But he woke up, and they just dumped him in the river, and now he's in the south eating people. So I don't know when this was supposed to air, what time frame this was. Universal Cartoon Express. So that doesn't say. It ran for 14 years. Didn't have cable a lot, so I didn't notice. I did see this episode, one episode, I think, or two maybe. They're going to blow up all the caverns underneath the jail in the city, all the caves, and they find out. He tells them it's Arachnid. So we have here, he fights him, and Arachnid's feeding people, which is just gross enough, keeping them fat. Since Cobb is a little chubbier than he should be, he says, I don't need to do it. So they rescue him, and they're like, he's like, you're a sight for sore eyes. So, and he drops Arachnid into the water, then he falls, and we get a maze chase. So he's a spider of Children of the Maze. Is that the name of it? Children of the Corn, Spider of the Corn. And then he actually force feeds him a whole bunch of feed. So he's stuck there. He's not even wanting to move. Why didn't he just shut? I guess he couldn't shut his mouth in time, but it must be really reinforced to keep these bad guys in. So they call him, and now they're buddies. And they're like, well, okay, at least they like each other a bit. I like that episode. It's the fish out of water sort of thing, where Dragon has to go to the south, and being from the big city and going into a smaller one. Although they're very well equipped to handle superpowered villains. So our final episode 9, is Hitman, and that's not about Bret the Hitman Hart. This is John Smith, who is running for mayor. He's the first freak to do so. And Dragon and Alex have been assigned as his protection. And Overlord is not pleased, so they're trying to figure out a way to get rid of him. And there he is. Bludgeon's back, so apparently he's back in Overlord's good graces. He's probably, if I were Overlord, look at this, is such a 90s thing. Tiny little head, huge biceps, ridiculous. He doesn't have any pouches, so it's not quite as 90s as it could be. And he's not wearing half a leather jacket or something stupid, or an overcoat, a trench coat. So they fight again, and Dragon just does not learn that he's not as strong. But Alex and John Smith get away. Now, this is reminiscent of Alien Nation. I don't think he was John Smith, but, and also a little bit of Buckaroo Banzai, where they were all John something or another. Overlord's still annoyed at Bludgeon. And Niceman gets made fun of. I don't know who this is, the mole, probably. So Octopus wraps him up, and they get a blood sample from Dragon's neck. So guess what's going to happen? They say they're cloning him, and they put it over a solid steel robot body. That's not a clone. That might be an android that's designed to look like Dragon and act like him, but it can't be a clone because it's a robot. I mean, I don't even think he's synthetic. It's more like a Terminator. But he looks and sort of acts like Dragon. He talks like him. They put him through a run-through with Bludgeon, and he whips him with, this must be an old abandoned, someplace the Joker would hang out. And then we see Dragon sleeping and waking up. He smashes his alarm clock, which appears to be a regular occurrence, and he's going to eat a huge breakfast. But then it gets sucker punched, and the fake Dragon's here. So this is fake Dragon, who's not acting right. And Alex says, "You're not. I don't know who you are, but you're not the Dragon." He's like, "Well, you're not going anywhere." And Overlord, he's cybernetic. And I don't know what Overlord's powers are. I haven't looked because spoilers, sweetie. So throws him in the back of the truck, and there's the real Dragon who's got a bomb attached to him. And Alex has to get free. So Dragon's supposed to kill John Smith, and Dragon finally says, "Just pull the cord, and we'll have 5 seconds to get out before it explodes. So she's all right, and it works. So, I mean, they're not going to kill the hero and the heroine, the two heroes. They commandeer a speedboat. Yeah. I like that Overlord, the dragon's watching him, and Overlord's got a face over the other guy. That just made me laugh. So we've seen that. This is right out of that first episode of Johnny Quest. Should have used that. And we get the Battle of the Dragons, doing a monkey flip, and he drops him into something that melted off, and then finally zaps him and smooshes him, even though he's still so. He's just a robot. He's not really a clone. A clone would have been a living being. So I would not. I mean, you'd think that Overlord's smartest scientist, Splitface, would know what the difference between a clone and a robot and an android, or a cyborg would be. And you just can't find good help these days, can you, Overlord? But Alex is, like there's only one dragon, and that is it. That is our 3 episodes for today. Tomorrow we will be reviewing The Equinox, the original 1967 version, which runs 70 minutes. I thought it was only 60, but it goes by. The narrative's a little easier, but it's not as good, and we'll get into that. So, my fellow agents, I did add a little different here and make it so it looks a little different. I added the Equinox because if I didn't make a differentiation and Agent Brick saw it, I'd never hear the end of it. But until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
What happened to Dr. Waterman? Only this man, last to see him alive, knows. Equinox, the invisible barrier between good and evil. The invisible barrier between light and the forces of darkness. The supernatural before your very eyes, as 4 teenage boys and girls fight a devil cult for their sanity, for their lives, for their eternal souls. Equinox, a story that defies logic, confounds belief. Dr. Waterman, wait! Wait!
I can't believe it. It was just a fall.
What is the secret of the 1,000-year-old book? What are the unspeakable horrors conjured by the forces of evil? What is the fiendish power of the ring that enslaves and destroys? What is the one symbol that can hold at bay the hosts of hell unleashed on earth? Equinox, proving again that there is more in heaven and on earth than is dreamt of in our philosophy. Equinox! Equinox! Begins where Rosemary's Baby left off.